Our family has a unique business, passed down through 3 generations. It's not about healing the sick or exorcising evil spirits. Our specialty is rooting out manipulators, specifically those known as green teas, individuals who feign innocence and sweetness to manipulate others for personal gain. My father, David Henderson, a former head of a special investigations unit, is a leading expert in interrogation and microexpression analysis. With just a glance, he can tell if someone is lying about an affair or hiding a murder. After taking early retirement, he opened a private security consulting firm called Clearance Solutions, which, despite its fancy name, primarily handles cases involving mistresses and manipulative schemers for the elite. My mother, Evelyn Henderson, is a criminal psychologist. She can profile a con artist from just a few text messages and construct the perfect psychological trap for them to walk right into. My older brother, Luke Henderson, is a white hat hacker. He can unearth a man's Tinder dating history from a decade ago or recover a manipulative schemer's deleted messages from a messaging app in under 10 minutes. And me, Scarlett Henderson, I'm the culmination of all their talents. I inherited my father's keen observational skills, my mother's analytical mind, and enough of my brother's tech skills to expose anyone. I'm currently a sophomore at State University A, essentially undergoing an internship in one of the country's most fertile breeding grounds for high-quality manipulators. Our dorm had just welcomed a new resident, Serena Hayes, the new IT girl from the foreign language department. The moment she pulled her suitcase through the door, my green tea radar went off with an incessant blare. She wore a floor-length white dress with long, straight black hair and a delicate, unmade-up face, yet her lips were always flushed pink and her eyes always seemed on the verge of tears. A classic White Lotus archetype, someone who projects an image of purity and fragility to hide their true intentions.
Hello, everyone. I'm Serena Hayes. I hope we can all get along.
OMG, you're so pretty. Call me Mia.
Hello, I'm Chloe. Hello, I'm Chloe.
I simply nodded, my lips curving into a standard, polite smile. In my mind, the Clearance Solutions system automatically activated, beginning to compile a profile. Subject, Serena Hayes. Preliminary level, high-grade manipulative schemer. Characteristics, fabricates a little white rabbit persona, easily gains sympathy from women, highly dangerous to men. Sure enough, in less than a week, Serena Hayes had successfully captured everyone in class, from the class president to the guys who only played video games. She always appeared at just the right moment to offer tissues to a crying girl, always, accidentally, had an extra breakfast portion for the boy sitting next to her, and always said things like, "I'm fine, please don't worry about me," with tear-filled eyes. But I knew her ultimate targets weren't these small fry. The big fish she was after was Richard Thorne. Richard Thorne, the campus heartthrob of the Business Administration Department, student body president, and the only son of the CEO of Thorne Industries. He was at the top of the university food chain, handsome, brilliant, from an incredibly powerful family, and somewhat cold and distant, a perfect target for any hunter. I began documenting Serena Hayes' hunting process like a case study. Day 1, the accidental encounter. She randomly dropped a book right in front of Richard Thorne in the library. Not many books, just enough for him to bend down and pick one up for her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She took the book back, bowing her head, her bangs shielding her eyes. A perfect act to make a first impression. Day 3, evoking sympathy. She appeared at the basketball court where Richard Thorne was playing. She didn't cheer like the other girls, but quietly sat in a corner, clutching a bottle of water. When the game ended, she timidly approached, handing the water bottle to another team member and saying,
Excuse me, could you please give this to Richard? He looks tired.
She didn't approach him directly, but used an indirect method to show subtle concern. Level up. Day 7. The decisive attack phase. This was when the drama reached its peak. That day, I was sitting in a cafe across from the stadium, finishing my internship report to send to my dad. Through the window, I saw Richard Thorne exit the gym. At the same time, Serena Hayes emerged from a hidden corner, carrying a towering stack of documents. Everything unfolded like a movie scene. She tripped, sending documents flying everywhere, and landed sprawled on the ground. The crucial detail was that she fell right at Richard Thorne's feet. People around began to murmur. Richard Thorne frowned, clearly not wanting to get involved in trouble. He was known for disliking contact with strangers, especially women. But Serena Hayes had calculated everything. She didn't rush to get up, instead remaining seated on the ground, her ankle suspiciously red and swollen. Tears welled up in her eyes. She bit her lip, trying to appear strong, but unable to hide her pain. My mental analysis of the target. Richard Thorne exhibits mild narcissistic tendencies and dislikes trouble, but also possesses the self-respect of a leader. Ignoring a seemingly weak, injured girl in front of an audience would damage his image. I mumbled, typing rapidly on my laptop.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Serena Hayes looked up, her tear-filled eyes meeting his. A fatal blow. Any man witnessing this would soften. Richard Thorne was silent for a few seconds, seemingly in an internal struggle. Finally, he extended his hand, and gasps of surprise rippled through the onlookers. Richard Thorne had never actively helped a girl like this before. Serena Hayes looked at his hand, a slight smirk hidden behind her bangs. She was about to place her hand in his. Once physical contact was successfully made, their relationship would take a significant leap forward. I smiled, closed my laptop, report paused, intervention phase initiated. I stood up, walked out of the cafe, and headed straight for the center of the drama. Pushing through the crowd, I stepped in front of them. "Serena, what happened to you?" I knelt beside her, my voice full of concern, completely ignoring Richard Thorne's presence.
Scarlett? Scarlett, why are you here?
Serena Hayes froze, her triumphant smile still on her face, but now stiff. I didn't answer. My hand gently touched her ankle. "Does it hurt a lot? Let me see." I pressed lightly on a pressure point. This was a technique I learned from my dad's former security detail, specifically used to check for real or fake injuries. If it were real, she would scream in pain. Serena Hayes flinched, but not from pain, from surprise. A flicker of alarm crossed her eyes as she looked at me. I looked up at her with an innocent, flawless smile, but leaned close to her ear and whispered in a voice only we could hear. "Your acting skills aren't bad, but next time you want to fake a sprain, you should learn a bit about bone structure. This bone position looks more like a mosquito bite." Serena Hayes's face instantly went pale. "Excuse me for the interruption, Mr. Thorne. My roommate here is a bit clumsy. I'll take care of her."
Come on, I'll take you back to the dorm.
I stood up, turning to look at Richard Thorne, who had been frozen until now. I bowed at a perfect 30-degree angle, smiling politely. Without waiting for his reply, I bent down and gently but firmly helped Serena Hayes to her feet. As I walked past Richard Thorne, I could feel his gaze, no longer cold and distant, but filled with deep curiosity and scrutiny. I escorted Serena Hayes a few steps, then, as if remembering something, turned back and smiled at him. "Oh, right, Mr. Thorne. I'm Scarlett Henderson, Serena's roommate. I hope you don't mind if I ask for your contact information, just in case Serena accidentally runs into any more trouble when she's near you. I'd like to know who to notify." The entire crowd fell silent. This wasn't just an interruption, it was a declaration of war. In my mind, red text flashed. Case File 404. Subject, Serena Hayes. Level, Poisonous White Lotus. Status, in progress. Agent, Scarlett Henderson. The air around us thickened to the point where a falling pin would surely be heard. The entire eavesdropping crowd held their breath, staring at the three-way confrontation between me, Serena Hayes, and Richard Thorne. My declaration of war still hung in the air, both brazen and challenging. Serena Hayes trembled, whether from anger or from my firm grip on her arm, it was unclear. She tried to pull her hand free, but failed. Richard Thorne showed no sign of awkwardness. He silently scanned me from head to toe, his gaze sharp as a razor, as if wanting to strip away all my disguises. I didn't flinch, meeting his gaze with a smile. In my mind, the system automatically ran an analysis. Subject, Richard Thorne. Heart rate stable, pupils undilated, corner of mouth curved up 0.1 millimeter. Reaction, amused. Not a prey, but another hunter. A few seconds passed like an eternity. Finally, Richard Thorne broke the silence. He didn't look at me, but at his phone, his tone as casual as ordering food. Just 2 words, no name, no number. The crowd was stunned again. Getting Richard Thorne's contact was harder than winning the lottery. I raised an eyebrow.
Messaging app contact.
Well, this just got interesting.
Well, this just got interesting.
I took out my phone and opened my QR code. Richard Thorne was equally decisive, scanning the code and adding me. The entire process took less than 5 seconds. He put away his phone, then walked past me and Serena Hayes, leaving a casual remark. Was that directed at Serena Hayes, a warning to stop her charade? Or was it for me, a reminder not to cross the line? Before I could analyze it, Richard Thorne was gone. Seeing that the show was over, the crowd gradually dispersed, leaving behind only curious glances and a few whispers. The drama concluded, and I released Serena Hayes' arm. Let's go. Back to the dorm. Serena Hayes snatched her hand away from me, stepping back. Her earlier weak face vanished, replaced by undisguised coldness and hatred. Her tear-filled eyes were now sharp as daggers.
Scarlet! Serena Hayes gritted her teeth. What do you want?
Oh, finally dropping the act, are we? I smiled, casually brushing off my clothes. I don't want anything. I just noticed a few plot holes in your performance, and as your roommate, I was kindly offering some constructive criticism.
You ruined my plans.
Your plans? I chuckled. Serena Hayes, do you really think Richard Thorne is an idiot? Your tired old tricks might fool some naive freshman, but to someone like him, it's more obvious than a bad B-movie script. Her face grew increasingly ugly. Clearly, my words had hit a nerve.
What do you know?
She growled.
Don't think you're so smart. You're just a jealous little girl who can't stand seeing someone else get attention from the campus heartthrob.
Analysis. Subject initiated gaslighting tactics, twisting facts, portraying herself as the victim. The system in my head whirred. Serena Hayes, is that all you've got? When you can't win an argument, you resort to personal attacks? How tiresome. I shook my head, feigning pity. With that, I turned and walked away, not bothering to pay attention to her fuming behind me. The real battle had just begun. As soon as I got back to the dorm, I locked the door, opened my laptop, and initiated a group video call. 3 faces quickly appeared on the screen.
Situation report. Clearance Solutions Task Force. Situation report. Clearance Solutions Task Force.
Go on.
How's the progress, sweetie?
Make it quick. I'm busy hunting a financial whale.
I adopted a serious expression. On the left screen, my father, David Henderson, sat in his office twirling a fountain pen. On the right, my mother, Evelyn Henderson, was wearing a cucumber face mask, her voice slightly muffled. In the center screen, my brother, Luke Henderson, sat before a complex array of computers, his fingers flying across the keyboard. I summarized the entire incident, from the fake fall to the direct declaration of war and Richard Thorne's reaction.
Richard Thorne? That kid is not simple. His reaction shows he wasn't fooled. He's enjoying the show. You've become an interesting variable in his play. Be careful. He might not be a target, but another player.
I agree with your father, but the primary target is still Serena Hayes. Psychologically, after failing and being publicly humiliated, she won't stay silent. She'll retaliate, and her weapon will be public opinion. She'll portray herself as a bullied victim, making you the domineering villain.
No need to wait.
My brother interrupted, rotating a screen towards the camera. Campus Forum, 5 minutes ago. Shocking headline. Foreign Language Department IT girl publicly humiliated by roommate in front of campus heartthrob out of jealousy. The screen displayed a lengthy, emotionally charged post, written from the perspective of an indignant bystander. The article described Serena Hayes as a gentle, delicate girl who, simply for receiving a little help from Richard, was targeted by a jealous roommate. The roommate allegedly deliberately sabotaged her, even uttering sarcastic challenges. The post cleverly included a distant photo, capturing the moment I helped Serena Hayes up, making it look exactly like I was bullying her. Hundreds of comments were already pouring in. OMG, I can't believe it! Case file 404 updated. Subject has counterattacked. A third character with an unknown role has appeared. Case danger level upgraded. Proceed to phase 2, disarming the public opinion trap and direct interrogation. I stood before my closet, unhesitatingly choosing a plain black t-shirt, jeans, and a light bomber jacket. This outfit was comfortable enough to handle any unexpected situation. For example, if Richard Thorne suddenly decided to push me down a flight of stairs, yet simple enough to show I wasn't treating this meeting like a date. Before leaving, I sent a text to Luke. Initiate Operation Poisoned Apple. Requirements: precise, swift, no traces left.
Copy that.
3 seconds later, my brother replied with a smiling face wearing sunglasses. The night wind on the roof of the Science and Engineering building howled. Richard Thorne was already there, standing with his back to me, right at the edge of the railing. His tall, solitary figure merged with the distant city lights, looking somewhat like a villain in a movie. "You're 1 minute and 30 seconds late," he said without turning around, his voice cold, cutting through the wind. "You must ensure no one followed you." I calmly walked to a safe distance from him. "Safety first, Mr. Thorne, you'd know that best." He finally turned. Under the faint moonlight, his face looked even more chiseled, his eyes fathomless. He looked at me with a raw, undisguised scrutiny.
Aren't you afraid of me?
Why would I be? If you wanted to do something to me, you wouldn't have chosen a place with security cameras at the only entrance and exit.
Clever. Tell me, how long do you and Serena Hayes plan to keep this play going?
He got straight to the point, without any preamble. Analysis. Target displays direct thinking, eliminates unnecessary emotional factors, focuses on the objective. Confirmed. Same type of person. I didn't hold back either. What about your play, Mr. Thorne? Using a naive girl as bait, watching 2 lionesses fight. Isn't that entertaining?
You're not a lioness.
Richard Thorne shook his head, taking a step closer to me. A lioness goes straight for the prey. You're a patient snake, waiting to deliver a fatal strike. The distance between us narrowed. I could smell a faint hint of mint on him, and an invisible pressure began to build. "So, can this snake ask why you called me here? To warn me not to touch your little white rabbit?"
Little white rabbit?
Richard Thorne let out a low, sarcastic chuckle. "Scarlett, you underestimate me, and you underestimate yourself. How can a fox in rabbit's clothing compare to a venomous snake like you?" He took another step closer.
I called you here to offer you a deal.
A deal?
Exactly.
His eyes flashed.
You want to expose Serena Hayes. I want to watch a good show. Our goals aren't conflicting. I provide information, you provide the entertainment. What do you say?
This was exactly what my father had warned me about. He wasn't prey, nor was he a mere spectator. He wanted to be the director. What kind of information?
For example,
For example, he took out his phone, scrolled a bit, then showed me the screen.
Serena Hayes isn't from an ordinary family, as she claims. Her father is Arthur Hayes, a rising real estate mogul in Silverton, known for his less-than-clean business practices. He's looking to break into the Fairview market, and the partner he's targeting is Thorne Industries.
All the pieces started to fit together. So that was it. Serena Hayes wasn't just pursuing Richard Thorne because he was a campus heartthrob. It was a move in her father's business chess game, a commercial marriage. And there's more, Richard Thorne said, retracting his phone. She has a fiancé back in Silverton, the son of another one of Arthur Hayes's business partners. Word is they're about to get engaged. High-level green tea. Not just hunting one target, but casting nets everywhere.
So, is my information valuable?
It's acceptable. So what do you want from this play?
I want her to leave this university in the most humiliating way possible.
His voice suddenly turned cold, and a flash of intense loathing crossed his eyes.
I hate people who dare to scheme against me.
All right, deal. I looked deep into his eyes. At that moment, my phone vibrated, the screen lighting up with a notification from the campus forum. I didn't need to check. I knew it was from Luke. Phase 1 complete. I smiled at Richard Thorne. It seems our play has already taken a new turn. Do you want to see? I opened the latest post on the forum. A burner account had just posted a sensational exposé titled Exposed, Pure and Innocent IT girl Serena Hayes is actually a rich heiress hunting young masters. Here's the proof. The post didn't mention me at all, focusing solely on Serena Hayes. It included a series of screenshots from her old, now locked Instagram account, Snow Yang. In them, she flaunted designer bags, checked into luxurious resorts, and most notably, an intimate photo of her arm in arm with an unfamiliar man, captioned, "Counting down the days, my love." The photo had been posted just 2 months prior. Below, Luke had used dozens of burner accounts to steer public opinion. Wait, isn't that young Master White of White Industries from Silverton? I heard he's about to get engaged. OMG, she's already engaged and came here to flirt with our campus heartthrob? Disgusting. No wonder I always found her a bit fake. Turns out she's an actress. So what about Scarlett bullying her? Was Scarlett framed by her? In just 5 minutes, the tide of public opinion had completely turned 180 degrees. From a pitiful victim, Serena Hayes had suddenly become a high-level manipulative schemer, a professional con artist. I looked up at Richard Thorne. He was also looking at his phone, the corner of his mouth curved into a satisfied smile.
Very professional technique. It seems your family is indeed extraordinary.
Just a few modest talents. The real show is about to begin.
I'll head off now. I look forward to your performance.
Oh, right, Scarlett. What was it?
You looked utterly adorable just now.
Richard Thorne put away his phone. He walked past me, but as he reached the door leading out of the rooftop, he suddenly stopped, turning to look at me. With that, he disappeared behind the door, leaving me alone on the rooftop, his last words echoing in my mind. Adorable? That word used to describe me? I shook my head, dismissing the lingering thoughts. The play wasn't over yet. I turned and headed back towards the dorm, where the direct confrontation was about to begin. As soon as I reached the hallway, I heard muffled sobs echoing from my room. I pushed the door open. Serena Hayes was sitting on her bed, surrounded by our two roommates, Mia and Chloe, who were consoling her. When they saw me, all three looked up. Mia glared at me reproachfully, while Chloe's eyes were filled with suspicion. Seeing me, Serena Hayes' crying intensified. She hiccuped, her voice broken and utterly pathetic.
Scarlett, was that post on the forum your doing?
Her eyes were filled with tears, looking hurt and disbelieving. A true Oscar-worthy performance. I slammed the door shut and locked it. Then I smiled, the brightest smile I'd worn all day. That's right, I did it. So? The dorm room, which had been noisy with Serena Hayes' heart-wrenching sobs, suddenly feels silent after my reply. The air seemed to freeze. Her crying caught in her throat, her eyes wide and watery, but now filled with astonishment and fury. Mia was the first to react. The naive pop culture enthusiast jumped to her feet, pointing a finger at my face, her voice trembling with anger.
Scarlett, how could you do that? That's defamation. Serena is just a vulnerable girl. What did she do wrong for you to treat her like that?
Chloe said nothing, but she pushed up her glasses, her scholar's eyes beginning to scan back and forth between Serena Hayes and me, gathering and analyzing data. I ignored Mia's rage, slowly pulled a chair to the center of the room, and sat down, crossing my legs. My posture was identical to my father's whenever he began an interrogation. Vulnerable, I smirked, looking directly at the stunned Serena Hayes. Serena Hayes, your bullied victim act was very convincing, but would you like to hear an analysis of the plot holes in your script? Chloe, you're the most rational one here. Doesn't it strike you as odd? A girl who claims her family has ordinary circumstances can easily transfer into the best dorm on campus mid-semester? Unless there's a special connection, this would require a substantial donation to the university. I didn't wait for Serena to reply. Chloe nodded slightly, her eyes beginning to flicker with suspicion. I continued, my voice even, as if reading a report. Next, let's look at the evidence. Mia, you like anime. You might not know much about luxury brands, but take a close look at the photo on the forum. I opened my phone, zooming in on the picture from Serena Hayes' old Instagram. The handbag in her hand is a Himalayan crocodile Birkin, the diamond-encrusted lock edition. The price at the last auction was nearly $500,000. The shoes are a limited edition Manolo Blahnik, not sold publicly. And that Patek Philippe watch. Tell me, what ordinary circumstances allow someone to acquire these things?
Maybe it's fake? Knockoffs?
Yes, exactly. They're knockoffs. I just bought them for fun. Scarlett, you're deliberately using these things to frame me. You're so cruel.
Mia's mouth dropped open, and she stammered. Serena Hayes clutched onto this lifeline, nodding frantically, tears starting to stream down her face again. She began to play the role of the innocent lamb being cornered by a wolf. Unfortunately, today's wolf wasn't interested in watching me act anymore. I smiled, a smile that sent shivers down Serena Hayes' spine. What a coincidence! My brother happens to be a luxury item appraiser. Before posting, he spent 10 minutes analyzing every detail in your photos. He said if these were knockoffs, the skill level of the factory making them would be museum-worthy. I held up my phone, the screen showing an incoming video call. So, shall I connect you directly with him so we can all hear the analysis? Or should I send the full analysis to your fiancé, young Master White in Silverton, so he can see how exquisite his fiancé's knockoffs are? The two words fiancé were like a final dagger, piercing through Serena Hayes' last mask. Her face turned from pale white to purple, her feigned weakness vanishing, replaced by undisguised malice and fury.
Scarlett Henderson, you bitch! She shrieked, the piercing sound making Mia and Chloe jump back. You witch! Who do you think you are?
Oh, so you're finally done acting? I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms. Then allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm Scarlett Henderson, a nationally certified expert in green tea eradication. A pleasure to meet you.
I'll kill you! Serena Hayes screamed, lunging at me like a wounded animal, her nails extended, aiming for my face.
Ah! Mia shrieked in fear. Chloe was too stunned to speak, but before Serena Hayes could touch me, I caught her wrist. Using a simple wrist lock technique learned from my dad, I gently twisted.
Ha! Serena Hayes, your games are over. You have two choices now. 1, pack your bags and leave here in silence. 2, I will release the full video of your assault on me, along with the audio recording of your true voice, and information about your father attempting to bribe the dean to get you into this university. What do you think Thorn Industries will think of a potential partner with a daughter like that?
Serena Hayes screamed in pain, collapsing to the ground. I bent down, leaning close to her ear, my voice cold as ice. Serena Hayes' body stiffened. She looked up at me with an incredulous gaze, mixed with fear. She couldn't understand why all her actions were known to me. I released her, stepped back, and disgustedly wiped my hands with a tissue. Mia, Chloe, I said, turning to my two stunned roommates, do you understand now? The person you poured your hearts out comforting is actually a venomous snake in rabbit's clothing. She approached you simply because you were naive enough to become tools and an audience for her play.
Scarlett, I truly misjudged her this time. I apologize to you.
Mia's face was drained of all color, and she looked at Serena Hayes, still kneeling on the ground, with a strange, unfamiliar gaze. Chloe sighed, pushing up her glasses. I simply nodded. The roommate education mission was complete. Serena Hayes stumbled to her feet. She didn't cry, nor did she scream anymore. There was only a terrifying silence. She glared at me, her eyes filled with an indelible, poisonous hatred.
Scarlett Henderson, just you wait. This isn't over.
With that, she didn't bother packing her belongings, but grabbed her phone and stormed out of the room. The moment she left, I immediately received a text from Luke. She's calling Arthur Hayes. Content? Dad, the plan's blown. I got messed up by a girl named Scarlett Henderson. You need to deal with her for me. I smiled. Case file 404 updated. Low-level subject eliminated. Case upgraded to corporate level. New target, Arthur Hayes. Phase 3, luring the snake out of its hole. It seems the student level game is over. Now it's time for the parents to perform. After the door slammed shut behind Serena Hayes, room 404 plunged into an eerie silence. The lingering scent of gunpowder from the recent battle still hung in the air. Mia plopped onto her bed, her wide eyes still bewildered, like a fawn just escaped from a crocodile's jaws. Oh my goodness, Scarlett! You, she stammered, unable to form a coherent sentence. The adoration in her eyes had completely replaced her earlier reproach. Chloe was calmer. She pushed up her glasses and approached me, her voice serious.
I've sent an email to dorm management requesting a review of Serena Hayes' admission records. I'll also write a detailed report about her recent attack, with Mia as a witness. We can't let her slander you in retaliation.
Thanks, but it's not necessary.
Why not?
Because. I smiled, a knowing smile. The next battle isn't happening here. Just as I predicted, less than half an hour later, my phone received a call from an unfamiliar number.
Scarlett Henderson, is that you? This is Arthur Hayes, Serena's father.
The man's voice on the other end was deep and authoritative, carrying the undisguised arrogance of someone in a position of power. He didn't inquire or beat around the bush. He went straight to the point. My daughter is young and naive. She doesn't understand things. If she has offended you in any way, I apologize on her behalf. Let's just let this go, shall we? Let it go. It sounded like a condescending pardon. Analysis. Imposing, dismissive tone, lacking sincerity. Goal, to use status to quickly resolve the issue. Tactic, typical of powerful patriarchs. Mr. Hayes, you're making too much of it. It's just a small misunderstanding between roommates. Why trouble you?
A misunderstanding is good.
Arthur Hayes seemed pleased with my apparent compliance.
All right. Consider this an introduction. I'd like to invite you to dinner this weekend at the Grand Imperial Restaurant, VIP room. Just come and mention my name.
The Grand Imperial, the most exclusive restaurant in Fairview, where one meal could cost a normal student's entire year's tuition. A sweet slap, both a display of wealth and a show of power. Thank you for the kind offer, Mr. Hayes, but I'm afraid I can't accept. I politely declined. Arthur Hayes's voice on the other end immediately turned cold.
Young lady, don't be unreasonable. I'm offering you a way out.
A way out? I chuckled. His patience ran out.
I've investigated you. Your family is just an ordinary civil servant family in this city. Who do you think you are to talk to me like this? Believe it or not, with one phone call, you'll be expelled tomorrow.
I remained silent, letting him vent. The angrier he got, the more mistakes he would make.
What, scared now?
Arthur Hayes sounded triumphant when I didn't respond.
If you know what's good for you, delete all that nonsense online and go apologize to my daughter. Otherwise, don't blame me.
Mr. Hayes. I waited for him to finish before speaking slowly and clearly. Are you aware that threatening someone and abusing your power to influence an educational institution's decision can lead to criminal charges? Oh, and it seems I accidentally recorded this entire conversation. The other end of the line went silent. I could imagine Arthur Hayes's face turning purple with rage.
You little brat.
He gritted.
You're good? You're really good?
Dial tone. He hung up. I placed my phone on the table. The fish had taken the bait. I immediately opened a video call with the task force. Dad, Mom, Luke. As expected, Arthur Hayes has made his move. He just called and threatened me. I played the recording. My father listened, then lightly tapped the table.
Typical. When money and power can't immediately resolve an issue, this type of person resorts to dirty tactics. He'll seek revenge on you. Luke, start monitoring all of Arthur Hayes' activities.
Already on it.
Luke nodded, his fingers already flying across the keyboard.
I've infiltrated his traffic camera systems and phone's GPS. He just left his company and is driving to the Golden Crown nightclub.
The Golden Crown?
My mother frowned.
That's where Jonathan Thorne, Richard's father, often goes to discuss business. It seems he still hasn't given up on trying to approach Thorne Industries.
Not just that.
Luke threw a stack of documents onto the screen.
I just hacked into Arthur Hayes' internal financial system. There was an unusual payment of $1 million transferred to a personal account last week. The account holder, Mr. Miller, head of admissions at State University A.
No wonder Serena Hayes got into the university so easily.
Everything is clear.
Everything is clear.
My father concluded.
Our plan is to use his own tactics against him. Your mother will create a psychological trap. Luke will provide the ammunition. And you, Scarlett, are the bait.
Understood. I nodded. Just then, my phone rang again. It was Richard Thorne. Our director seemed quite impatient. I excused myself from my family and answered.
Your play tonight was quite spectacular. Do I need to award you an Oscar?
Just the warm-up, and your information network is impressively fast.
I planted a mini bug on your collar when we were on the rooftop.
What? I jumped, instinctively checking my collar. A low chuckle came from the other end of the line. Just kidding. I just happened to overhear your conversation with Arthur Hayes through my family's surveillance system. Did your dad forget to renew his anti-intrusion software? I fell silent. My brother Luke, on the video call, had turned bright red, having been out-hacked by someone else. Richard Thorne continued.
Her father is heading to the Golden Crown nightclub to find my father. It seems he intends to use his connections to apply pressure.
Is that so? I raised an eyebrow. Then, Mr. Thorne, would you be interested in watching another play, this time on a grander stage?
Most willingly.
His voice was filled with interest.
Location?
The Golden Crown nightclub, but this time you're not an actor, you're the audience. The main performer is about to take the stage. I hung up, looking at the video call screen. Mom, I need your help with something. I want to send a small gift to Mrs. Thorne, Richard's mother.
Of course, my dear.
My mother smiled, the smile of a criminal psychologist, a wolf in sheep's clothing.
I always enjoy a good family drama.
The game had truly begun. Arthur Hayes thought he was the hunter, but he didn't know he was just an animal stumbling into a cleverly designed trap. And I, along with my family, were the patient hunters waiting. The Golden Crown nightclub wasn't a noisy bar, but a fortress for the elite. Every inch was paved with money and power. Crystal chandeliers hung like Milky Ways, the air redolent with fine wine and unspoken schemes. Richard Thorne and I sat in a VIP room on the second floor. The room featured a colossal one-way glass panel, offering a direct view of the main lobby, where Jonathan Thorne and Arthur Hayes were seated. A perfect position for the director and producer. 1982 vintage red wine, or a special cocktail called Green Tea Tears. Richard Thorne offered me the menu, a smirk playing on his lips. Just a glass of water, please. I need a clear head to enjoy the upcoming performance.
Then a glass of water for her and a King's Gambit cocktail for me. I have a feeling tonight's play will be a bit tragic.
He shrugged, signaling the waiter. I glanced at him. Has my mother's gift been delivered to Mrs. Thorne?
It has arrived.
Richard Thorne lightly swirled the drink in his hand, a flicker of amusement in his eyes.
A bouquet of white phalaenopsis orchids with a handwritten card. Your mother is truly a master. The card simply said, "Dear Mrs. Thorne, I heard Mr. Thorne has an important meeting tonight at the Golden Crown with a very generous partner. Have a pleasant evening." No threats, no accusations, just a subtly veiled hint, enough to pique the curiosity and instincts of a smart wife. Evelyn Henderson, my mother, never disappoints.
Downstairs, the conversation didn't seem to be going well. Jonathan Thorne, the old fox of the business world, merely sipped his tea, his expression nonchalant to Arthur Hayes's sweet talk. Arthur Hayes began to get anxious, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. "It seems my father isn't interested in his land projects," Richard Thorne observed. "Then he'll have to resort to Plan B," I said, my eyes fixed on a figure moving in the distance. Sure enough, a girl in a wine-red silk dress, with alluring curves and a captivating mixed heritage face, was carrying a tray of drinks towards their table. She moved gracefully like a cat, every step calculated. "Wow, a top-tier hire," Richard Thorne whistled softly. Arthur Hayes spared no expense. "This isn't an ordinary green tea," I analyzed. "This is a pro-level seductress. Clear objectives, professional methods, never misses her mark." And then the classic drama began.
"Oh, I'm so sorry. I truly didn't mean to."
I'm so sorry. I truly didn't mean to."
The girl slipped, and the entire tray of drinks spilled onto Jonathan Thorne. She feigned panic, quickly taking out a handkerchief to wipe Jonathan Thorne's suit, but her hand lingered in an ambiguous position, deliberately brushing his firm chest. Arthur Hayes immediately stood up, pretending to scold her.
What kind of service is this? Do you know who President Thorne is? President Thorne, my sincerest apologies. Let me handle her. Or perhaps you'd like to go up to a VIP room to change. I've already prepared some clothes.
A perfect setup, creating an opportunity for the honey trap and finding an excuse to take Jonathan Thorne to a more private location. Jonathan Thorne frowned, a little uncomfortable. He wasn't a lecher, but being pawed by a beautiful girl in front of a business partner wasn't ideal either. At that crucial moment, the main door of the Golden Crown opened. A woman in an emerald green, hand-embroidered cheongsam dress, her hair swept up, walked in with the regal air of an empress. She didn't look at anyone else, simply smiled and walked straight towards her husband's table. "It's Mrs. Thorne, Victoria Thorne. Looks like our main actress has arrived." Richard Thorne raised his glass and smiled. Victoria Thorne approached without a hint of anger. She glanced at the stunned girl in the red dress, then at her husband's soaked suit, and smiled softly.
Jonathan, it seems your meeting tonight is more lively than I imagined.
Jonathan, it seems your meeting tonight is more lively than I imagined.
Her voice was gentle, but every word was like a needle.
Wife, why are you here?
I came to pick you up to go home.
Victoria Thorne replied, then turned to Arthur Hayes, who stood rigid as a statue.
This must be Mr. Hayes. I've heard so much about you. Your business methods certainly know how to create a stir.
Mrs. Thorne, this is just a misunderstanding.
A misunderstanding? Young lady, your acting is very good, but you chose the wrong stage. This jacket of my husband's is a limited edition Brioni. It costs enough for you to buy a small apartment. Do you think you can afford to replace it?
The girl's face went pale. Victoria Thorne didn't give her a chance to reply. She took Jonathan Thorne's arm and pulled him to his feet.
Mr. Hayes, Thorne Enterprises has always relied on merit, not these extra ingredients. Perhaps we don't need to discuss this contract any further. Jonathan, let's go home. I've made you soup. I've made you soup.
She led Jonathan Thorne away decisively, leaving Arthur Hayes rooted to the spot, his face shifting from green to white like a spilled paint palette. His entire scheme had utterly collapsed. In the VIP room, Richard Thorne and I clinked glasses, my glass of water and his cocktail, creating a clear sound.
Your mother truly is a marvel. Richard truly is a marvel.
I genuinely praised.
She simply performed to her full potential.
Richard Thorne smiled.
But we also have to thank your family's psychologist for the enlightenment. Now it's our turn.
He pressed a button on his phone. Simultaneously, Arthur Hayes's phone rang frantically. He shakily answered. From the other end came his secretary's panicked voice.
Mr. Hayes, it's over. The IRS and Business Oversight Department just raided our company. All our ledgers have been sealed.
What?
Arthur Hayes screamed, nearly collapsing. That wasn't all. A text message was sent to his phone. It was a video capturing him handing a briefcase full of money to Mr. Miller, the head of admissions at State University A. The angle was crystal clear, accompanied by a text message. Arthur Hayes, the game is over. Either turn yourself in to the police, or this video will be on the front page of every newspaper tomorrow morning. The sender was an untraceable burner number. Arthur Hayes couldn't stand. He collapsed onto the expensive sofa, his eyes empty. He had lost, completely. The play is over. I'm leaving now.
Wait.
Richard Thorne called out to me. He walked over, standing directly opposite me, the distance very close. His eyes, no longer scrutinizing, held a complex, burning emotion.
Scarlet?
Scarlet?
Scarlet? Scarlet?
He softly called my name.
Would you like to become my long-term partner?
Partner?
Exactly.
He smiled, a genuine smile, devoid of coldness or sarcasm.
This world has too many manipulative schemers and fools. It might be a bit busy for just the two of us to clean it all up, but I think it would be a lot of fun.
This invitation was bolder than any declaration of love. Let me think about it. I looked into his eyes. For a moment, I felt this man was truly my kind. I said, then turned and left, leaving Richard Thorne standing there with a smile on his face. Case file 404 might have concluded, but the game between Richard Thorne and me had just begun. The earthquake named Arthur Hayes didn't just stop at the Golden Crown. It swept through all of Fairview like a Category 5 hurricane. The next day, Serena Hayes quietly withdrew from the university, vanishing without a trace, as if she had never existed. The campus forum exploded, rumors weaving into dozens of different versions, but no one knew the terrifying truth behind them. The name Scarlett Henderson only flashed briefly as a minor detail before being quickly forgotten. I had returned to being a normal student, at least in everyone else's eyes. A few days later, Arthur Hayes's real estate company was officially sealed for investigation on charges of tax evasion and bribing officials. The empire he had painstakingly built with dirty tricks collapsed overnight. In our living room, the task force was holding a debriefing. Case file 404 successfully concluded. Subject Arthur Hayes has confessed, and subject Serena Hayes has been sent abroad. Thoroughly effective. My father lightly tapped the case file, his voice filled with the satisfaction of a victorious commander.
This time, Scarlett did an excellent job. Not only did she resolve the dorm room menace, but she also leveraged the situation to expose the bigger fish. The girl is increasingly taking after her mother.
But I also have to admit, Thorne Industries systems are very robust. I had to spend all night patching up the security vulnerability Richard Thorne poked.
Richard Thorne. I murmured his name. His offer to become partners still echoed in my ears. Just then, the doorbell rang. A woman in her 30s, elegantly dressed, but with tired, anxious eyes, stepped in. This was Clearance Solutions' new client. Hello, Mr. Henderson, Mrs. Henderson. I'm Caroline Chen. A new case file was immediately opened on the table. Target, Daniel Vance, 35, CEO of Star River Tech, a startup that went public in just 5 years. From humble beginnings, self-made, a legend in the business world. Client, Caroline Chen, Daniel's wife, heiress of Chen Jewelers. Request, investigate the illicit relationship between Daniel Vance and a woman named Sophia Evans. Gather evidence to make Sophia Evans leave Daniel Vance forever. I looked at Sophia Evans's photo. Unlike Serena Hayes, this woman didn't appear weak or fake. She wore a simple white dress, sitting at a grand piano, exuding an ethereal, muse-like aura. Her eyes were clear, her smile gentle, tinged with a distant sadness. This isn't a green tea, my mother stated, her criminal psychologist's eyes sharp as a knife. This is a white moonlight, a shining moonbeam, a first love edged deep into the heart, an unattainable regret from the past. My father continued, this type is 10 times more dangerous than a green tea. Green teas use tactics, white moonlights use emotion. For a self-made man like Daniel Vance, his career is his achievement, but his white moonlight is his obsession. He can abandon profits, but it's hard for him to abandon an obsession. Luke immediately projected Sophia Evans's information onto the large screen. Sophia Evans, 34, a renowned concert pianist. 10 years ago, she and Daniel Vance were childhood sweethearts, the golden couple of their university. But then, Sophia Evans suddenly went to study abroad, cutting off all contact. Daniel Vance suffered for a long time, then met Caroline Chen, married, and built his career. 2 weeks ago, Sophia Evans unexpectedly returned to the country and held a private concert, and Daniel Vance attended that concert.
From that day, he started to change. He often comes home late, lying to me that he's at social events, but he's actually meeting her. I even found a luxury apartment he just bought in her name.
Tears streamed down her face. Mrs. Henderson, I don't want a divorce. I just want her to disappear from our lives. This was a difficult case. A white moonlight returning carries an aura of both vulnerability and superiority. Any direct attack would turn Daniel Vance into a hero protecting his love, while his wife would become a cruel, jealous woman.
We need a plan. We can't stir up the snake without knowing its weakness. We need to find Sophia Evans's weak point.
A weak point?
Luke tapped away on the keyboard.
On the surface, her life seems perfect. Talented, beautiful, clean past. But there's one odd detail. In her 10 years abroad, she had almost no significant performance activities, yet her bank accounts received large sums of money from unclear sources in Switzerland.
Interesting.
My mother smiled.
It seems our muse doesn't just live on moonlight.
I need to get close to them.
I need to get close to them.
I stated. I need to observe Daniel Vance and Sophia Evans directly. Only at close range can I find the cracks in her performance.
How?
My father asked.
This weekend, Sophia Evans is hosting a private appreciation party for close friends and partners at a private villa. Security is extremely tight.
Luke said, a thoughtful expression on his face.
The guest list is finalized. It'll be very difficult to get in.
Difficult for others, but not impossible. I smiled, picked up my phone, and found a number I'd saved, but never called. Hello?
Hello?
Mr. Thorne, are you interested in joining a new case? The other end was silent for a few seconds, then a soft chuckle. This call must mean my new partner has made up her mind. Go on, who's the prey this time? A white moonlight.
A white moonlight? I replied, concisely.
Sophia Evans, The party at Lakeview Villa this weekend. I need a ticket in.
Oh, Daniel Vance and his Moonlight, huh?
Richard Thorne didn't seem surprised.
Your intel is fast. Coincidentally, I'm also on the guest list.
Really?
Indeed. But, Scarlett,
His voice suddenly turned more serious.
a partnership is a two-way street. I help you get in. What do you offer me?
The truth, and a show as good as the one at the Golden Crown.
Deal.
He replied decisively.
Saturday night, 7 p.m., I'll pick you up. Dress nicely. After all, you're my girlfriend.
Saturday night, 7 p.m., I'll pick you up. Dress nicely. After all, you're my girlfriend.
What? I was stunned.
No, I can't go to a high-class party alone. And with you accompanying young Master Thorne of Thorne Industries, you'll have the perfect cover to approach the prey without suspicion. 2 birds, 1 stone. Or don't you want to?
7 p.m.
I took a deep breath. You old fox, I said, then hung up. I looked up. My whole family was looking at me with knowing eyes. It seems, my father cleared his throat, we have external support for this case. My mother smiled. A very suitable partner. A good match. I ignored their teasing. In my mind, a red line appeared. Case file, white moonlight. Subject, Sophia Evans. Level, S-Class Psychological Expert. Status, in progress. Special partner, Richard Thorne. Precisely at 7 p.m. on Saturday, a sleek black Aston Martin DB11 pulled up in front of my dorm, drawing everyone's eyes. The car door opened, and Richard Thorne stepped out. He wasn't wearing his usual uniform or sportswear, but a custom-tailored suit, not from a well-known luxury brand, but from a bespoke tailor in London known only to old Lunny families. Every line was perfect, accentuating his broad shoulders and narrow waist. His usual cold demeanor was replaced by the arrogant, distant air of someone at the apex of the pyramid. I, too, was ready. I chose a dark teal silk dress, simple in design but exquisitely tailored, enough to stand out without being ostentatious. My mother had said that when confronting a white moonlight, the best weapon isn't dazzling beauty, but an enigmatic aura.
You're 30 seconds late.
You're 30 seconds late.
Richard Thorne opened the car door for me, his voice still carrying that familiar calculation.
You have to ensure that no detail on you can be exploited by an opponent.
In a psychological battle, every detail is a chess move. I replied calmly, getting into the car.
It seems we truly are partners made in heaven.
He chuckled, closed the door, and got into the driver's seat. The car sped off into the night, leaving behind curious and envious gazes. Lakeview Villa nestled on a mountainside, a private fortress enveloped by forest and state-of-the-art security. The party wasn't loud, only the gentle strains of a piano and the hushed conversations of the elite. Everyone here was either wealthy, powerful, or both. The moment Richard Thorne and I stepped in, we immediately became the center of attention. Young Master Thorne had never brought a girlfriend to any event before. He naturally put his arm around my waist, a clearly possessive gesture, and whispered in my ear, "Play your role well, girlfriend."
Of course, boyfriend,
I replied with a perfectly measured smile. And then we saw her. Sophia Evans stood by a pristine white grand piano in the center of the hall, still in the familiar white dress from the photo, her long black hair gently cascading over her shoulders. She didn't need dazzling jewelry. She herself exuded a unique radiance, a delicate, ethereal beauty that made people only dare to admire her from afar, hesitant to defile it. Beside her was Daniel Vance. He looked at her with eyes that would break any wife's heart, eyes filled with adoration, reverence, and regret. The main performer has taken the stage, Richard Thorne murmured. We walked over. Richard Thorne greeted him casually.
Daniel, long time no see.
Young Master Thorne, do you grace us with your presence tonight? And this young lady, my girlfriend, Scarlett Henderson.
Richard Thorne introduced concisely, his hand on my waist tightening slightly. Hello, Mr. Vance. Hello, Miss Evans. Daniel Vance turned, smiling when he saw Richard Thorne, but his eyes flickered with surprise when he saw me beside him. Sophia Evans also turned to look at me. Her eyes were as clear as autumn lake water, without a ripple. She assessed me from head to toe in a second, then offered a gentle smile. Hello, Miss Henderson. You're truly beautiful. A polite compliment, but also a probing strike. Oh, I wouldn't say that, I replied. Miss Evans's artistic aura is truly what inspires admiration. I heard your return concert was incredibly moving. My tiny earpiece buzzed with my mother's voice. Good assessment. Start with admiration, lower yourself, make the opponent drop their guard.
Miss Henderson, you flatter me. It was just a bit of personal emotion.
Oh? I feigned curiosity. I heard you were abroad for 10 years. You must have accumulated a lot of inspiration and valuable experiences for your music during that time, right? This was a casual question, but it aimed directly at the weak point Luke had found. 10 years with almost no performance activities. A nearly imperceptible flicker of light appeared in Sophia Evans's eyes, then vanished instantly. She raised a hand to lightly stroke a stray lock of hair, an unconscious action to conceal her discomfort.
Not entirely. For 10 years, I mainly spent time reflecting and searching for my true self. For an artist, sometimes stillness is more precious than the stage lights.
Truly the mark of a genuine artist, she replied, her voice still gentle. A perfect answer, both romantic and philosophical, impossible to refute. My earpiece buzzed again with my father's voice, analyzing microexpressions. When mentioning 10 years, her pupils contracted for 0.5 seconds, and her left hand gripped her wine glass tightly. She is lying and feels uneasy about this topic. So, I suppose your life abroad was quite simple and pure, just music and yourself.
That's right.
She smiled, a moonlight smile. Just then, a portly, middle-aged man, his fingers laden with gold rings, staggered over. Ms. Evans, listening to your music is truly worth a fortune. How about this? You have dinner with me tonight, and I'll invest in you opening a music academy. What do you say? Daniel Vance's face immediately darkened, and he started to step forward to shield Sophia Evans, but she gently put a hand out to stop him. She showed no anger or disgust, only a lingering sadness in her eyes. Thank you for your kind offer, Mr. Miller, but my music is priceless. It cannot be measured by money. I apologize. She refused with both elegance and firmness, making the man feel boorish, and he slunk away in embarrassment. Everyone around looked at her with admiration, a perfect display of crisis management. Richard Thorne whispered in my ear, she just elevated her own value and made Daniel Vance admire her even more. Indeed, I replied, but did you notice? When Mr. Miller mentioned the words invest and money, she licked her lips, an unconscious reflex showing her interest in money. My earpiece buzzed with Luke's voice. Mr. Miller is our guy. I paid him $70,000 to perform that act. Well done. The conversation ended. Sophia Evans excused herself to rest inside. Daniel Vance immediately followed, his eyes never leaving her. Well, partner, Richard Thorne asked, any yield? I found a crack. She's not as perfect as she appears. She's very sensitive about two topics, her 10 years abroad and money. So what's the next step? The next step is to widen that crack. I watched Sophia Evans and Daniel Vance's retreating figures. Richard, can you help me investigate something?
Tell me.
Please find all of Sophia Evans's and Daniel Vance's old college friends, especially those who were present when Sophia Evans suddenly decided to go study abroad. I don't believe such a beautiful love story ended just because she wanted to find herself.
No problem. But what do you plan to do with them?
I smiled, a calculating smile. Organize a class reunion so everyone can reminisce about old times. They call her a white moonlight because that light only appears beautiful when it's enshrined in idealized memories. What if we cruelly restore those memories to their true colors? Richard Thorne's efficiency was no joke. Less than 24 hours after the Lakeview Villa party, a detailed list, complete with psychological profiles of all relevant former classmates, lay on my desk. Ethan Miller, the music department class president, who once secretly admired Sophia Evans, was now the director of an event planning company. Weakness, vain, loves to show off. Maria Smith, Sophia Evans's close dorm roommate, who cut off contact after Sophia Evans went abroad, was now a full-time housewife, whose husband was a minor manager. Weakness, covertly jealous of Sophia Evans's current life, prone to complaining. Kevin White, Daniel Vance's best friend, the only one present at the airport to see Sophia Evans off, was now a VP at Star River Tech. Weakness, absolutely loyal to Daniel Vance, but inherently straightforward, not good at lying. The list was long, but these three were the key pieces. The reunion plan was ready. Richard Thorne called me, his voice as efficient as a CEO reporting progress.
Tomorrow night, at the revolving restaurant atop the Empire Tower, I've reserved the entire place. Ethan wanted to organize a grand reunion to show off, and Thorne Industries just happened to be the diamond sponsor. He couldn't refuse.
Perfect. I smiled. Then I'll prepare the script.
No need.
Richard Thorne interrupted.
The best script is no script. You just need to light a spark. I'll make sure the wind blows in the right direction.
He truly was my kind. He understood that in a psychological battle, improvisation was the ultimate weapon. The next evening, the Empire Tower revolving restaurant shimmered like a palace among the stars. The 360-degree cityscape stretched out beneath us. Ethan Miller, as the organizer, beamed as he greeted everyone. Daniel Vance and Sophia Evans arrived quite early. She remained loyal to her white dress, standing amidst the luxurious setting, beautiful as a painting. Daniel Vance stood by her side, his gaze never leaving her for a second, like a knight protecting his saint. People gathered around them, showering them with compliments and admiration. Sophia, you truly haven't changed a bit, still as beautiful as a fairy. Daniel, you really have an eye for beauty. Your first love is still just as stunning after all these years. Sophia Evans merely smiled gently, occasionally glancing at Daniel Vance, a look full of affection yet tinged with shyness, a perfect performance of old flames rekindling. Just as the atmosphere reached its peak, Richard Thorne and I made our entrance. The doors opened, and all eyes turned to us. Richard Thorne was still in his elegant black suit, while I chose a vibrant red dress, a color in stark contrast to Sophia Evans's white. If she was moonlight, I was a flame. Young Master Thorne, Ethan Miller stammered, hurrying over. You've come too?
My girlfriend said she wanted to see the excitement.
Richard Thorne replied nonchalantly, his possessive hand resting on my waist, pulling me closer. I think I can handle it. The whole room seemed to explode. Richard Thorne's girlfriend? This news was hotter than Daniel Vance reuniting with his old flame. I smiled, my gaze sweeping past a frowning Daniel Vance, then resting on Sophia Evans's face. For a moment, her smile stiffened, but quickly returned to normal.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scarlett Henderson, Richard Thorne's girlfriend.
I introduced myself, my voice clear. I heard today is a class reunion, so I took the liberty of joining to learn from all of you. The introductions concluded, and the party began. Under Richard Thorne's subtle guidance, the conversation quickly steered towards the main topic, the past. Honestly, Sophia, Maria Smith, her old close friend, started to loosen her tongue after a few glasses of wine. You left so suddenly back then. We were even planning a farewell party for you. Why the rush? The first spark had been lit.
At that time, my family had some urgent matters, and I didn't want everyone to worry. Plus, the study abroad procedures came up so suddenly, I didn't have time to prepare.
Sophia Evans softly stirred her water glass, her eyes downcast, her voice carrying a hint of lingering sadness.
Family matters?
Maria Smith looked surprised.
I remember your parents were perfectly healthy back then. Or was it something to do with Daniel Vance?
Maria, you've had too much to drink. That's all in the past. Let's not bring it up again.
Daniel Vance immediately interjected, his voice full of protectiveness.
Why not bring it up?
Why not bring it up?
Ethan Miller cut in, perhaps wanting to show he was in the know.
Everyone knew Daniel Vance and Sophia were a couple back then. Daniel even planned a huge proposal on campus. But Sophia never showed up. She flew straight to wherever. Our Daniel was devastated for half a year.
The atmosphere became awkward. Sophia Evans looked up, her eyes welling with tears as she looked at Daniel Vance, her voice choked.
Daniel, I'm sorry. I had my own troubles back then.
Her own troubles? These 3 words were vague, pitiful, enough to stir everyone's sympathy and curiosity. What kind of trouble would make someone abandon the person they love like that?
What kind of trouble would make someone abandon the person they love like that?
I interjected, my voice clear as if it held no hidden meaning, yet it was like a dagger aimed straight at her heart. Was it perhaps for the full scholarship to the Juilliard School? I heard that scholarship requires recipients to commit to no romantic entanglements throughout their studies. Is that right? All this information was, of course, fabricated by Luke in 30 seconds. Sophia Evans froze, looking at me, her eyes flashing with panic. Juilliard was indeed her dream school, but she had never received any scholarship. Daniel Vance was also surprised.
Sophia, is that true? You never told me.
Nonsense.
She quickly regained her composure. She shook her head and gave a bitter laugh.
Where did you hear such a rumor, Miss Henderson? I was just an ordinary student. How could I ever reach Juilliard?
She denied it perfectly, but the seed of doubt had been sown.
Is that so?
Is that so?
Richard Thorne suddenly spoke, turning to Kevin White, Daniel Vance's best friend.
Kevin, I heard you were the only one who saw Miss Evans off at the airport that day. You'd know best, right?
I'm not really sure.
Kevin White, who was drinking, flinched at the mention of his name. He looked at Daniel Vance, then at Sophia Evans, his expression awkward. He stammered.
At that time, Sophia just cried and said she had a compelling reason to leave and told me not to tell Daniel Vance.
A compelling reason? I repeated, raising an eyebrow. Sounds like something out of a melodrama. I'm very curious. What kind of reason could be so mysterious? I looked directly at Sophia Evans, smiling. Or perhaps Miss Evans doesn't want to say for fear of affecting her muse image. Sophia Evans could no longer maintain her composure. Her voice was a little sharp.
Scarlett Henderson!
Sophia.
Daniel Vance stood up, looking at me with displeasure.
Don't go too far.
I'm just curious. I feigned innocence. After all, such a moving love story, who wouldn't want to know its happy ending? The air was taut as a wire. Just then, Maria Smith suddenly gasped, as if remembering something. Wait, Sophia, I remember now. The day you left, didn't you tell me you were going back home for an urgent matter? You even borrowed $1,000 from me to buy a train ticket. So how did that turn into flying to the U.S. from an airport? The entire restaurant fell silent. All eyes, including Daniel Vance's, turned to Sophia Evans. Her delicate face, for the first time, went as white as a sheet of paper. The perfect mask of the white moonlight finally showed a crack. Maria Smith's words were like an atomic bomb exploding in the otherwise silent restaurant. 1,000, train ticket, back home, airport, U.S. The disjointed pieces suddenly formed a picture of contradiction and deceit. Sophia Evans's pale face finally regained some color, but it was the flushed red of anger and panic. Daniel Vance, the man who had always shielded her, turned back for the first time, his gaze shifting from astonishment to suspicion. Sophia, his voice deepened, what is this about? This was when a true actress showed her class. Sophia Evans took a deep breath, and tears immediately streamed down her face. She didn't look at Maria Smith, but directly at Daniel Vance, her eyes full of hurt and disappointment.
Daniel, even you don't believe me?
She sobbed.
Maria, I know you've always disliked me, but I never imagined that after 10 years you'd concoct such an absurd story out of jealousy just to ruin me.
She shifted her attack, transforming herself from the interrogated into a victim of envy. A classic technique, always effective with those who are deeply in love. Sure enough, Daniel Vance immediately wavered, his gaze at Maria Smith sharpening. Maria Smith's face turned red with anger.
Sophia Evans, don't you dare slander me. That $1,000 was my tuition money I saved all year. How could I possibly misremember?
Sophia Evans, don't you dare slander me. That $1,000 was my tuition money I saved all year. How could I possibly misremember?
Sophia Evans challenged.
So where's the proof? It's been 10 years. Who would believe your word alone?
The atmosphere once again fell into a deadlock. Indeed, without proof, everything was just hearsay. I believe it. A steady voice broke through. It was Kevin White. He stood up, his eyes complex, as he looked at Sophia Evans. Sophia, I also remember that day at the airport. When you went through security, I saw a train ticket to Silverton in your wallet. I thought it was strange then, but didn't dare to ask. If Maria Smith's words were a spear, Kevin White's were a hammer, shattering all of Sophia Evans's denials. Kevin White was Daniel Vance's best friend. He had no reason to lie.
You're all ganging up on me.
Sophia Evans began to lose control, her voice rising.
Enough, Sophia.
Sophia.
Daniel Vance finally spoke, his voice weary.
Tell me the truth. Why did you lie?
Sophia Evans was speechless. Perhaps I can help Miss Evans remember? I looked at her, smiling. Actually, the story about you borrowing money from Maria Smith to buy a train ticket to go home was true. Only the home you mentioned wasn't your hometown, but Silverton. Silverton? Everyone looked bewildered. That's right, I continued. You didn't go there to visit relatives, but to a place called Ankh Private Clinic. Isn't that right, Miss Sophia Evans? The name Ankh had barely left my lips when Sophia Evans's body trembled violently. Her face was no longer pale but ashen. What nonsense are you talking about? She shrieked. Nonsense? I raised an eyebrow. Then how about this? I signaled to Richard Thorne. He nodded, picked up the restaurant's remote, and turned on the colossal projector screen behind the stage. The lights in the restaurant dimmed, leaving only the screen brightly illuminated. On the screen was not a video or image, but a clearly scanned document. Title: Confirmation of Surgery, Ankh Private Clinic. Patient name: Sophia Evans. Type of surgery: abortion of 8-week fetus. Date of surgery: June 15th, 10 years ago. Total cost: $1,000. The entire restaurant erupted. Gasps and murmurs filled the air from all directions. Daniel Vance stood frozen, his eyes glued to the screen, his face showing an indescribable collapse. The white moonlight in his heart, it turned out, not only lied, but also concealed such a terrifying secret. "No, it's not real! It's all fake!" Sophia Evans shrieked like a madwoman, lunging towards the screen as if to tear it apart. Fake? My earpiece buzzed with Luke's cold voice. This entire file was retrieved directly from the clinic's cloud storage system. It has her full signature and fingerprints. It cannot be faked. Daniel Vance slowly turned to look at Sophia Evans with a completely unfamiliar gaze, his voice chilling to the bone. Why? Just one question, but it held the devastation of 10 years of waiting and illusion. Sophia Evans knew she had no way out. She suddenly burst into laughter, a wild, mournful sound. She pointed at Daniel Vance. Why? Isn't it because of you, Daniel? If you hadn't been so useless and irresponsible, would I have been driven to this? She played her last card, a vicious accusation, hoping to drag Daniel Vance down with her. But she had underestimated the Henderson family's preparations.
Miss Evans.
Miss Evans.
Daniel sounds silent and decisive. I am the victim.
Richard Thorne suddenly spoke, his voice cold.
According to the immigration records I obtained, from March to June 10 years ago, Mr. Vance was in a student exchange program at MIT Boston. He was not in the country at all. So may I ask, whose baby was it?
A perfect knockout blow. All of Sophia Evans's defenses crumbled completely. She collapsed to the ground. Her crying now was no longer an act, but genuine despair. Daniel Vance didn't say another word. He turned and walked away decisively. His retreating figure held no lingering attachment to the moonlight of the past. He walked straight out of the restaurant, out of a nightmare that had lasted 10 years. The play had ended. In the Aston Martin, the city at night blurred past the windows like a vast galaxy. I silently gazed outside. My phone vibrated. A message from Caroline Chen. Just 2 words. Thank you. It came with a transfer notification for an amount of money enough for me to live comfortably for the rest of my life. Case closed, Richard Thorne said, breaking the silence. Do you feel like a god deciding the fates of others? I turned to look at him. No, I'm just a cleaner, cleaning up the messes others leave behind.
Well, little cleaner, have you thought carefully about my offer?
Richard Thorne chuckled. He stopped the car at a red light, then turned to look at me. His eyes, in the streetlight, became profound. I looked into his eyes, which reflected the city's neon lights, and my own image, a cold, rational, and slightly dangerous person. Richard, partnering with you would probably be very troublesome, but also very interesting.
Exactly.
Then, welcome, partner. I slightly curved my lips. The light turned green, and the car surged forward, blending into the city's endless flow. The white moonlight case file had been closed. But I knew the Henderson family's ledger and ours, mine and Richard Thorne's, would open many new pages. Because in this city, the plays would never end.